Okay, so a lot of responses coming in to the Agusta Patrakar's issue, and to discuss the Agusta Patrakar's scam, Saba Naqvi, senior journalist, is with us tonight. Sanjay Pinto, political analyst, lawyer, has been a broadcast journalist in the past. Sunil Alagh, Jayanto Ghoshal, editor in Delhi of Ananda Bazar Patrika, and Mahesh Jethmalani. Jayanto Ghoshal, this is the talking point in the country today. Times Now is in its possession the two-page contract service agreement between Agusta Holdings and Cristian Michel's company, which shows that Cristian Michel was paid to manage the Indian media post the controversial purchase of 12 VVIP choppers. What are your thoughts on the Agusta Patrakar scam? Jayanto.
Arnab, this is a very sad, actually, I'm very sad today listening when you are reading the note. Because, you know, you have the gut to say this because you have that right to say on the Agusta media. But, you know, you cannot generalize the media. Like the police officials, there are good police, good doctor, bad doctor. But this a section of media, how ruling regime tried to influence and tried to neutralize them, not to write anything on that corruption. This compromisation, I'm very sorry. And actually today, my head, I am just, I cannot speak because, you know, I am a representative of free media.
Can I?
And when 2G scam was there, the same issue came.
Yeah.
And now again this is a circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
And
unlike
Yes, Saba. Saba, go on. The whole
Can I Jayanto,
no,
since can I speak?
One thing
I'm very anxious to speak on this, Arnab.
Yes,
I'm
Saba.
very anxious. Number one, you know, if there is a proper criminal inquiry, Arnab, from the papers that you showed, it seemed to be that there were invoices. So there should be a proper investigation, and we should get to the names of journalists. I'm very keen to speak on this. We should get to the names of journalists who, if there are any, who are taking cuts regularly from any. We should know, definitely. And from the papers that you showed in the earlier segment of the program, it seemed that these were invoices, that there were invoices for which this gentleman is supposed to collect. So are there names of journalists? I'd like to see those names.
No, I'll tell you.
And I'd like them to come out in the public.
Okay, so here is the fact. You see, we have the contract between Agusta and Cristian Michel. Then we have, when you go to the judgment, there is another part of the judgment in which there is a very, very detailed conversation that goes on between the people, and then they say that there were about 20 journalists who were bought out. They discuss how many journalists should we buy, and then the suggestion goes that you buy 20, and the amount that is being paid to buy 20, and I presume this is in India, is 275,000 euros a month. Now presume that 30%, 40%, 50% Cristian Michel keeps, which means the going rate for these Agusta Patrakar Saba is anywhere between 5 to 7 lakhs a month. So there are some journalists who are paid, it's like a retainership. Like a lawyer sometimes is paid a retainership by a company, a lawyer is paid a retainership not to pick up a case against that company. In this case, these Agusta Patrakars are being paid a retainership in some form, cash or kind, and I don't know if there are invoices for it, because you know, some people say this could be some payoffs in kind. Okay, so because like in the Neera Radia case, some people said the payoffs were never in cash. Like the payoffs in the Neera Radia case could be in kind. I don't know what they were, but there was speculation at that time. Now the fact is that why would some people pay off, why would AgustaWestland pay off some people so that they are not hostile? Would you pay off a journalist not to be hostile to a company? Right? You realize how significant this is, Saba.
But classical journalistic, Arnab, it's very serious. It's very serious. It's a classic. It's a classic blackmail tactic. I mean, this is the worst kind of journalism, which is criminal journalism, and we have had instances of people being trapped in this. You get
trapped means what? Now, how can a journalist say he's being trapped?
Suppress it for a price.
No. Would you buy this? Would you buy this, Mahesh Jethmalani? Would a journalist get trapped in this? Mahesh Jethmalani, Sunil Alagh? Would you get trapped?
Journalist, no.
No, journalists can't be trapped.
I'm not talking about a journalist. I'm talking about journalists trapping others.
Journalists also should be punished, Arnab. Because the investigation has started. The investigation has started. So the journalists also, if they are guilty, they should be punished.
In that particular agreement that you gave out,
Sanjay Pinto.
Privity of contract. Arnab, I for one believe, I'll make it very brief, 45 seconds max. I for one believe that a journalist like Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. However, a cursory glance at some of those clauses that I managed to see off the screen reveal that there was obviously no privity of contract between the journalists who are yet to be named and these middlemen or that company. Having said that, I must point out that lobbying, if what they were doing was lobbying or public relations work, well, that comes under, that is really not an offense. There's no law in India that bans lobbying unless they were part of a criminal conspiracy covered by section 120B. Unless it was a violation of section 7 of the Prevention of Corruption Act.
I'm sorry.
Well, if they were
Mahesh Jethmalani, let's get a legal perspective from Mahesh.
Definitely wrong. Perhaps it would be more remunerative to be a journalist than a member of parliament with their hike today.
Well, Mahesh Jethmalani, please.
In a word, Arnab, just to be very pithy, there is no room for lobbying with journalists. You can lobby with governments, but governments must act in the national interest. You can try lobbying with journalists, but journalists must only write in the public interest.
Sure, but there was 45 crores which was paid to the Agusta Patrakars. 45 crores. It's not a small amount. 45 crores to buy off 20 journalists for 2 years. Sunil Alagh. So, and I'm surprised that the media is not picking up this. I mean, if the media wants to put blinkers on and not report this.
Augusta, what Saba said just now, that these journalists must be discovered, named, identified, named and shamed.
Yes, please. Sunil Alagh.
Yeah. You know, all I would like to say is that what somebody else was saying earlier, the very fact that it is in the contract of Michel that journalists could be bought in India, that is why he's being paid. Nowhere else in the world would you put that into a contract. As somebody said, it's a PR agency, which means you are there to tell the journalists what you think and the journalists write what they think is right. But here you are being paid.
Yeah.
That means everybody knew that in India you can buy journalists. Nobody will write a contract anywhere in the world like the one that has been written there. That means at that point of time, there were people who were being bought. I'm not giving a blanket thing against journalism because I know a lot of good journalists. And I've dealt with them where you deal with them and you present your facts and you hope that they will write it. They are not bought out.
Now listen.
I mean, and therefore here, it's a very dangerous thing and the names must come out.
But why are we...
I mean, hiding the names is pointless.
No, you see, the point is this, can we also talk about the history of this? The AgustaWestland scam broke out Jayanto Ghoshal. The AgustaWestland scam, Jayanto, broke out in 2011-2012. Times Now reported it. At that time, the Indian Express was reporting it aggressively. This was a huge story. A 3,500 crore scam.
Exactly.
Proven.
Yeah,
the minister had to admit in the floor of parliament that bribes were given. Right? This particular company, Finmechanica and AgustaWestland, were stopped and the contract was closed because of the integrity clause. Now tell me, Jayanto Ghoshal, at that time, how much did the Indian media cover the story? Why did people look the other way? When this big story was being reported, now I can understand that sections of the Indian media don't want to report Ishrat Jahan because they feel it will compromise the previous position they have taken on Ishrat Jahan. So any information may come, but they will not report Ishrat Jahan. So the media started to take sides on political issues. But tell me, for God's sake, Why did the media put blinkers on? Saba and Jayanto, tell me. Why did the media pretend this was a scam much bigger than Bofors happening before our eyes 3 to 4 years back? How many cover stories did we see? How many investigative reports did we see? Was FinMechanica asked questions? People hoped and pretended कि कहीं निकल जाए अगले story तक. So that there is no discussion on this anymore. Why was this happening, Jayanto Ghoshal? Now we hear that the 20 top journalists of this country were being managed by AgustaWestland. Now 20 top journalists would have influence in their respective media organizations. So you can virtually form a cabal of Agusta Patrakars. And I'm surprised today that the media organizations of this country, the Editors Guild, the Press Council, are not picking this up. Suo moto.
Can I
Arnab, this is a very serious issue, and I'm telling you, this is an organized crime. This is an organized crime, and I am telling you, Arnab, after the exposure of this document today, it is very clear that there is a planned methodology that to suppress the fact what they could not. Bofors issue. We have seen so many stories, the massive coverage on Bofors and sustained coverage on Bofors.
Yeah, but why was this not covered?
This issue, how it has been surprised now, today seeing this document after your exposure, now it is crystal clear that this is actually, it's a nexus, and there was a planned move to suppress those facts, and that's why today when investigation has started, Arnab, you cannot believe, I got a phone call when your program has started that Arnab is sensationalizing is this issue from a media person. I got the call. And I told
no, one second, I want to hear this. One second, I want to hear this.
This is a responsibility. Our responsibility to expose it. We are Indian citizen. We are not above the law.
So you were told.
We are not above the constitution.
So you were told. Are you telling me?
The 20, we should know the name of the 20 journalists. And I am a member of Editors Guild. I will raise this issue to the next meeting of the Editors Guild, that why we will not take action on those 20 journalists if we can able to get the name.
But why? But why?
Investigating journalism, we should know the name of the journalists.
But I'm
not only the politicians.
But Jayanto Ghoshal, I'm asking this today. Where are those people who talk about journalism? Those people don't report Vijay Mallya. Okay, fine. Those people black out Ishrat Jahan. 1 minute. They black out Ishrat Jahan. Surprising. Those people are embarrassed. For days they blacked out. For 4 years, those people blacked out the Agusta scam. They blacked out Ishrat Jahan. I can understand their political leanings. They blacked out Vijay Mallya. I can understand they may have had some associations with Vijay Mallya. They may think he's a very nice guy. But they black out the AgustaWestland scam for 4 years. For 4 years, they did not report the AgustaWestland scam. Even on Monday, Jayanto Ghoshal, when Times Now was breaking the story on the Agusta scam, they were discussing everything else except the Agusta scam. It's only when it became a big political row that these channels began to play along and realized that they had to show the scam. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing for their own selves. My question is tonight, Saba, don't we have to look within and ask why did the Indian media, why did the Indian media, why did sections of the Indian media, no, won't the people of this country ask why did sections of the Indian media bury the Agusta scam for 4 years? For 4 years we didn't know anything about it. Why did nobody follow it up, Saba?
Yes, Arnab, especially now that there is a charge.
I'm being very direct.
There is a charge of bribery.
Arnab, we should do what UK did as far as Rupert Murdoch is concerned. Get all the journalists in and have them tried. That's all.
You know,
do
Sanjay
exactly
Pinto,
what UK did with Murdoch.
Can I reply?
Yeah.
Can I reply?
Yeah.
Can I reply? You know, the fact that there is now a suggestion that bribes were paid to journalists, we must speculate whether people were paid to kill the story. We must ask that. And I disagree that a lobbyist can pass off as a journalist. We need a very clear distinction between journalists and lobbyists. And that is the rot in our system. We should be clear. People want respectability by saying they're journalists when they're lobbying. I don't buy that argument. There are certain ethics in the profession, and you should not be accepting hospitality. You should not be accepting favors. You should not be going on certain junkets. You should not be doing a lot of things. And I think this should be an occasion for us to look at those norms in our own profession and not say that lobbying is not criminally prosecuted. It's, you know, we can't have those grey areas. I think if Jayanto is going to raise it in the Editors Guild, let's look at the whole process of junketing, you know, taking hospitality. Let's discuss all these things.
Absolutely, let's do that because you see,
I did not. No.
Yes, okay, Sanjay Pinto.
Arnab, like good Taliban and bad Taliban,
okay for a journalist to be
good corruption and bad corruption.
No. Arnab, I did not. I have great respect for Saba as a journalist. But I did not say that it's okay for a journalist to be a lobbyist. All that I said is the criminality involved. However, I also made it clear at the outset, if you remember, that a journalist like Caesar's wife must be above suspicion. A journalist who exposes various other scams in the country should be above board. I only spoke about the criminality. All I am saying is, by all means, do not spare the corrupt. But don't jump the gun. If there were clauses there, how do we prove that X, Y or Z actually followed those clauses and carried it? If the scam was not reported for 4 years, I don't buy the argument that only 20 journalists were involved. Much more would have been. And it's not possible for an individual journalist, Arnab, to actually plant a story or to kill a story. There has to be, you know, at the top. You know how the newsroom functions. There's a news editor, there's a managing editor, there are several others in the scheme of things in the food chain. It's not possible for individual journalists to go on junkets, sign contracts, raise invoices. You know, it has to be proved conclusively, because at the end of the day, we are dealing with reputations. By all means, if it's proved that X, Y or Z was involved in a scam, I think their respective organizations should take action against them. My esteemed colleague on the panel was very right in saying the Editors Guild should also take it up. But let's not jump the gun. That's all I'm saying.
If any individual journalists, beat reporters, otherwise other people have done this, then I am quite clear the editors must sack them. Sack them. You know, there must be unflinching intolerance. There has to be intolerance to corruption of any form, right? In our system, right? And I completely agree that Caesar's wife has to be above suspicion. Now the problem is when you show extreme tolerance, right, to action, when the whole country says, you know, what was this particular journalist doing, but the organization says, no, nothing along, it's fine, it happens, it's okay, chalta hai. I mean, that is the problem. We've seen examples of that as well, right? Now the question is this. The Neera Radia episode exposed a great deal, Jayanto Ghoshal, about the unfortunate goings on in the Indian media. In this, I want to show a particular document. Let's have a look at this, please. Jayanto Ghoshal, I don't know if you have a TV next to you. I've got another part of the judgment. I've got it translated from Italian, and there is a conversation. Look at how these people talk about journalists. They say, tell us if they need 20 journalists for a month. It is fine with me. We will pay what it takes 1 month, 20 journalists. Look at this. They're talking like they're buying fish.
My God.
This is Joshua Poische and Cristian Michel. Look at the conversation. We will pay what it takes 20 journalists 1 month. Haggling, huh? Kitne journalists kharidoge? Acha, another part. Let me show another part. They say, I am not doing bribes. Listen. Look at these words, I've underlined it. I would not say they are called media, it's called mediation. Jayanto, are you seeing this? I would never say mediations, tangents, mediations. Bribes, never. Bribes, never. This is a translation from Italian, so it's not absolutely perfect. They are saying these are not bribes. Hum to bas mediation kar rahe hain. Mediation by buying 20 journalists. Jayanto Ghoshal? And we can remain quiet about this?
So it has.
You know,
we remain quiet about.
Actually, it's a very clear document. It shows our system also. You know, this is a PR methodology, And you know, this PR exercise of the business people and the politicians are also involved, I think, with this nexus. And this, they have involved is, I think this cannot be a cab reporter, because you know, they have chosen the journalist who have the influence not to publish the stories. Now, you know, it's not, it cannot be a junior reporter
now it's
who
told,
doesn't have any influence on the media.
Now,
So
it's
my
been told,
30 years of experience in media, yeah, I think that Tom, Dick, Harry cannot stop the stories in a newspaper. So they have chosen, I think,
that's what I said.
they have chosen the right people who can stop the stories against them.
No, because
and to suppress the facts and suppress the corruption. Because
Saba, you know what happened in the Niraradia scam. The media decided.
This is very unfortunate.
No, you know how it happened in the Niraradia scam. You know, you were working in the magazine that exposed the Niraradia scam. The fact is that even in the media at that time, the media decided. The media decided in the Niraradia scam. Let's go this far, but no further. Vis-a-vis politicians, we want all the way. We want the politician to be sacked, right? But when it comes to the media, we're like, let's go this far, no further. Now, if this case, so can that happen? Here is the time today to show some unflinching spine in this particular case, because Agusta Patrakar is being spoken about.
Exactly.
Is being spoken about.
Exactly.
This is worse.
We cannot immune.
Arnab, this is worse as far as journalists, if they're getting monthly retainers. And I just want to say, the editor, the late editor, Vinod Mehta, who published the Niraradia tapes, who was a panelist, who was very fond of you, he was very, very circumspect in allowing people to go on junkets. There were certain thumb rules within the magazine. Hospitality, junkets, there was something that Vinod did, you know. He was very, very circumspect. I mean, there are so many anecdotes I can tell you about that. That's where the rot begins.
Yeah.
And we have to be very careful about that.
We have to be careful because, you know, I don't know how many such lobbyists have made their inroads into the Indian media. And therefore, I feel it's a moment of reflection tonight. Well, I think enough has been said about this now. We'll follow this. And viewers, I promise tomorrow I will come back with some fresh exposés on the Augusta scam. Tomorrow, we will prove how not just qualitatively, but quantitatively, the scam which everyone says we know nothing about, everyone who's supposed to know says we have nothing about, we know nothing about, that's coming up tomorrow. I thank you all very much for joining me on this chat on the News Hour tonight. Thank you.